Appreciate it. Thanks for coming a little bit early tonight. It's a special event tonight here at Battery 621. And my name is Kyle Eason, once again with Inception Integrated Marketing. We do creative communications, brand identity, and content production and distribution, and soft launching essentially tonight. And big thanks to Tech Riot and Advocate for joining and hosting this event tonight. And we're happy to have them with us here on the rooftop. So I want to go ahead and get started with the kick, and it's short and sweet. We get right into it. And this is episode number 9. And with us today we have Jake Rishavy. I met Jake roughly around a year ago or so. And Jake is just one of those dynamic personalities and a person that really can make things happen in a community. And he's doing that through the Denver South Economic Development Partnership. He's the Director of Innovation and Entrepreneurship, and he's well placed in that position. He's also the founder or co-founder of Tech Riot itself and co-founder of Prime Health, and I'll let him tell you a little bit more about that. So without further ado, Jake Rishavy.
Thanks, Kyle, and thank you all. Pleasure to be here tonight to hang out with you guys. Many of you know me, but for those of you who don't, as Kyle said, Director of Innovation and Entrepreneurship for a group called Denver South Economic Development Partnership. We are a 501c6 nonprofit, about 35 years old. That public-private partnership means that half of our board are elected officials in the Denver area. The other half are representatives of the business community. And my focus within the organization is really about building collaborative communities to support entrepreneurs and innovators. That means creating or participating in the creation of great groups like Tech Riot, and also, as Kyle mentioned, a group called Prime Health, which is now a statewide network of about 130 digital health startups and second stage emerging growth companies here in Colorado. And between those two entities, we're touching hundreds of Colorado companies every year and helping them to accelerate their growth and helping them to tackle the big challenges and problems that occur in all facets of daily life.
And Jake, one thing we like to talk about is just how you got here today. What was your journey like, and what are some of the milestones that brought you to this position here in Denver at this time?
Yeah, well, I took a very interesting path to get here. I don't think any other economic developer in Colorado moved here to be a whitewater river guide, but it's a good start. Came out here to be a guide, loved the outdoors, spent a couple of years really enjoying the outdoor amenities that Colorado had to offer before launching my own company. And I also found that being here in Colorado, it's a wonderful place to live. It's a wonderful place to play. It also happens to be a wonderful place to build a career. And I think one of the most impactful events for me was launching my own business here. I was an entrepreneur myself, ran a company called Ricochet, which was a digital agency here in town for 4 or 5 years, and then made the transition to the public-private side. Really wanted to do something that was more oriented around community and civic mindedness, and economic development was really the logical way to bridge that gap. It's my personal opinion that business can be a force for good and can be a force for solving some of the big problems that we face as a society. And I really think that harnessing the power of entrepreneurs to tackle some of those big challenges is, it's really one of the things that inspires me. And I don't think there's a better place in the world to do that than Colorado right now.
So you've given us a little preview of your kick, the idea, your special idea, your signature idea that inspires and awakens. And why don't you tell us a little bit more about what that kick is exactly? What is it to you?
Well, I wouldn't say that it's unique to me. It's certainly not unique to me. I think it's something that is pretty unique to Colorado, and it's something that I know is shared amongst many of the folks in my immediate circle, many of whom have had the pleasure of being guests on your show before. Really, the kick for me is the connection of powerful people. And by powerful people, I mean, every single one of you in this room has your passion. And my passion is really identifying the synergies between those passions and aligning those people or aligning those organizations. And I think that's something that Tech Riot tonight, Advocate tonight, the organizations that are here tonight, also Prime Health, other great groups in Colorado, groups like 10-10-10. You talked with Mike Baselli and the Catalyst HTI campus. I think a lot of those initiatives all share that same spirit of, Colorado's competitive advantage is its collaborative nature. And I think that, my kick is really trying to accelerate those connections and accelerate the impact that those connections produce.
Yeah, that's been highlighted before with Mike Baselli. There is a sort of Colorado collaborative ethic that I think does exist. And maybe it's a little bit, heightened here and a little special because in some ways Colorado was a bit isolated for a period of time. It's no longer true at this point. But, people depend on each other. And I think there are a lot of folks who have moved here as well. And it tends to make people a little bit more open to friendship and creating those partnerships.
Yeah. Well, that's certainly the case. I mean, Colorado has been one of the top 2 or 3 destinations for relocating millennials, for example, for the last 5 or 6 years running. That's not a mistake. It's not a coincidence. It's because they're drawn here by like-minded people. And I think that, as you mentioned, the fact that so many of us came from somewhere else, took the initiative to see an opportunity to better their lives, took action on that, came here by choice, and are building a new network, it makes this a hyper networked place, a hyper collaborative place. And I think that's why we all experience the business success that we do.
I fully agree. And I would also, the next part of our show, actually, we usually talk about what's next for you. How are you getting the word out about your kick or the way that you do business? How are you getting that word out? How are you expanding your impact here in Colorado and elsewhere?
Yeah. Well, to us, it's the power of what we do. It really is magnified by the people that are involved. And so building those networks, you look at Prime Health. Prime Health is 1,500 people strong now, representing every one of the stakeholders that are involved with the healthcare industry. Tech Riot's now, close to 1,500 members in just a year's time. By building those networks, you basically get this amplifying effect, and it's reverberating. I mean, we get calls from outside the state, all around the country on a regular basis who are hearing about Tech Riot, hearing about Prime Health, hearing about Advocate. And that's, there is, in the economic development business, we're in the business of attracting smart people and sharp companies to come here and have a presence and make an impact here in Colorado. And it's groups like this that, there's nothing better you can do for a company that's coming here than to provide them the built-in network that exists in groups like Advocate, like Tech Riot, like Prime Health, and others.
So 2 questions I have for you is, obviously there is something special about the way you do business. Maybe you share that mission with other people, but what is it about your approach? What do you find people responding to, and is there a signature way that you approach business in this regard?
Well, for me, it sounds cliche, but it's give before you get. And I think that Colorado does that as well as anywhere in the country. I mean, you look around this room right now, or this rooftop right now, every one of these people is here to contribute. And of course, we're all about enlightened self-interest. We would hope that everybody derives value from being a part of groups like this. But everybody's willing to give to the whole. To help the whole be successful. And again, to use another cliche, it's that rising tide that lifts all boats. I mean, I think it's certainly part of my personal ethic, and I think also the organizations that I'm involved with all kind of share that ethic as well.
One last question. How are you getting that word out again? I know you mentioned networks and people are hearing about Denver South Economic Development Partnership and the activities and organizations you're involved with, but how are you getting the word out? Is it through social media? Simply, is it through personal connections, networking groups like this? How does the word get out?
I mean, obviously, this is a digital age. Social media has been probably the biggest catalyzing tool. I mean, when we started out, 4 years ago with Prime Health, it was really 6 people with an idea around a table. And now, today, it's so inexpensive. We've got all these either free or low-cost tools that can really amplify an organization. We turned that idea into a website, a couple of social networks, and meetup.com, things like that. Really simple stuff. And through those channels, without spending much money at all, we're able to brand that idea, really give it some legs, and drive the adoption, to the point that you could go from 6 people around a table to a 1,500 person strong initiative, within just a couple years. And I think that's pretty remarkable.
A lot of regular events as well for Tech Riot, Prime Health, what have you. So I think that's fantastic, Jay. Definitely someone who embodies that collaborative Colorado ethic, and real pleasure to have you on the kick.
Appreciate it.
We do love you, Jay.
Love you, Tom.
So that's it for the kick. Thanks so much.